As Big Perk is here, and you don't need me to tell you who that is. It's been a long time since we've seen Charles Barkley on the show. Delighted to have you back. Obviously, TNT all through the season in the Western Conference, and then it is great to have you back, Sir Charles. Let's jump right into it. We are talking about Steph Curry and legacy, and as one of the all-time greats yourself, what does this championship and this Finals MVP mean for Steph Curry?
That's a great question, Greeny. This is going to be painful for me to say. I think he passes Isaiah Thomas as the greatest small guard ever. That's just my personal opinion. For a championship, because Isaiah Thomas to me is the greatest little point guard ever. So I think for me, this pushes him past Isaiah Thomas as the greatest small point guard ever. I mean, Magic's in a different category, but as far as a pure point guard, this to me puts Isaiah Thomas.
You know, Charles, one of the things that we were talking about here earlier is, because this is a team that wins 4 in 8 years, and you were in the league, of course, and in one of those finals against Michael's Bulls, they're the last team to win that many in a concentrated period like that. And that team broke up in large part because of interpersonal relationships. It was just impossible to keep it together. And Michael, and we all love him, but Michael's personality might not have been the easiest for everyone around him to work. We saw that in The Last Dance. What does it say about Steph that this team seemed, every single one of those guys seemed as happy for him as he seemed for himself when he got it last night?
Well, I think for me, you talk about unselfish superstars. I think Tim Duncan and Steph are probably at the top of the list of guys they don't care who get the credit. They just want to win. I mean, when Tim turned the team over to Ginobili and Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard, it was a smooth transition. You know, everybody, I love Steph's answer. Everybody's telling me, you finally get Finals MVP. And he said, man, I don't give a crap about that. This is our 4th championship. And to me, that's really he didn't have to win MVP to move up on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. I mean, because he's been the best player on all of those teams. Well, KD's in that conversation also. But, KD wouldn't have been, and I'm not taking shots at KD, but KD wouldn't have been able to do what he did unless Steph stepped out the way. You saw it broke up Kobe and Shaq. But when KD got there, Steph never complained 1 iota. He was happy to win back-to-back championships. So that says a lot about him.
He was a big part of that recruitment process. And Big Perk, let me come to you on that thought a moment, because we haven't mentioned the name Kevin Durant yet this morning. But when that game ended last night, we were waiting to go on and do some post-game. So I was flipping on Twitter, and the name Kevin Durant was trending the moment that game ended last night. What is the right thing to say about that factor in all of this morning, Big Perk?
You know what? I think is part of how he left this Warriors team and how he could have been a part of it, and they could win so many championships. But look, KD legacy is already stamped. Whether we want to question it or not, I know it would always be questioned because he went and joined that Warriors team. But of course, it's going to be trending. It's Kevin Durant. He left Steph Curry to go team up with Kyrie Irving. No matter how KD want to look at it, it's not looking good on him right now.
At this moment, and I can tell you, Charles, Stephen A., your buddy, said that to me over and over. I was sitting with him last night during the game, and in the final minutes, as Steph is crying and the whole world is celebrating him, that conversation came up a lot. KD made a decision to leave Steph Curry and team up with Kyrie Irving. What do we say about all that this morning, Charles Barkley?
Well, if you go back and look the way Otto Perkins' old head, listen, Kobe Bryant said, I had to win a championship without Shaq. LeBron James said, I had to win a championship without D. Wade and Chris Bosh. That's the way this thing works. Before KD gets that great respect from all the old heads, he's going to have to win a championship as the bus driver. Listen, he joined that team had already won a championship, so no disrespect, that's just a fact. The old guys like myself, hey, KD's an all-time hell of a player, but until he is the guy on a championship team, we're not going to ever give him the respect I mean, that he probably deserves. And that's just the way it is. And like I say, the game hasn't changed. Kobe said it. LeBron said it. And so we're going to hold him to the same high standard. Kevin Durant, one of the best players we've ever had. But when he's been the leader of a team, when he had to lead a group of men, he has not been able to finish the journey. And listen, listen, no disrespect, we're going to always hold that against him.
You know, when you say no disrespect, or as we sit here and discuss this, all I can think about is how the Warriors, I'm not sure if you've seen this morning, Charles, but in the postgame last night, Klay Thompson referenced a tweet from Jaren Jackson in March that seemed to question them. Steph Curry brought up Big Perk holding up a 0 at one point last August, saying he didn't think he would win. You've been in this 20 years now. At this point, you were probably more famous for your commentary and being an analyst than you even are having been one of the greatest players of all time. Does it surprise you, or what is your reaction to the fact that the Warriors last night seemed to have a lot of chips on their shoulder as they won this championship?
Well, I think a lot of that stuff is fabricated because it's like, I used to always hear that bogus stuff about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's the greatest player ever. Well, he was slighted by this, he was slighted by that. There's a lot of guys get slighted who can't play dead, no matter how mad and how many chips they got on their shoulders. I always laugh when I hear that. Like, Michael Jordan was better than all of us. And everybody said, well, he got mad because Charles won the MVP. He got mad because Karl Malone won the MVP. Man, he was just better than we were. And but listen, I think the thing about the Warriors, I think the thing with Klay Thompson is the most important thing. When you miss basketball for 2 years, I've never been as seriously hurt as Klay. I had some serious injuries. I blew out a couple of my quads. And you never know if you're going to be good again. And clearly Klay's not the same, but he still made a big contribution to them winning their 4th championship. I think that's really what Klay was trying to say. And listen, I really do think it meant a lot to – I want to say this about Steph. I think 2 things. I think – and I probably shouldn't say this because it's none of my business. I think the stress was going on with his family, his mom and dad. Listen, I don't care what type of human being you are. Hearing people badmouth your mom and dad and all that stuff going on, that's got to have a negative effect upon your personality. And I think that was just such a great release that he can actually play basketball and win a championship because I always loved his mom and dad, but all the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, it had to put a tremendous amount of stress on him. And now to win the championship, I think he can actually breathe. That's just my personal opinion. But those guys, they don't need an extra motivation. I think that's just stuff they're making up. But I thought it meant a big deal to Klay because Perk knows this. Man, when you get hurt like he did, have major injuries, you don't think you ever going to come back and play again. And to miss 2 years, think about that, 2 years. Like when you normally you tear ACL or an Achilles, you out for a year. But when you're out 2 years, you got to have some dark stuff going through your head. Like, am I ever going to play again? So I think that was more relief than anything else.
And by the way, Charles, I'm not sure if you can see it in your return right now, but another face and voice that you may be familiar with has also joined the conversation. Good morning, Stephen A. Smith.
What's going on, Grady? What's up, Chuck?
Hey, Stephen A. Hey, Stephen A. You don't come on Greenies and Perk Show without your damn sport coat on. You give all them other brothers a hard time when they don't dress up. You put on a damn sports coat when you come on this show.
I know good and damn well you ain't talking to me about how I'm supposed to dress after you came out with that damn sweatsuit trying to look like a bloated Tyler Hero. I know that ain't you. I know that ain't you.
Let me pause very briefly. I have to get one commercial break out of the way, and then the rest of the show is going to belong to these guys. Stephen A. Smith, Charles Barkley, Big Perk. We're continuing in just a moment. If you leave, you're making a colossal mistake. Short timeout. We're talking about the finals, and we're talking about it with the most entertaining people in the business. Next, Get Up on ESPN.